Hey there and welcome. Grab your notebooks and get comfortable because today I am your study buddy. We're going to dive into a shared reading explainer of an absolute classic Aesop's fable. We'll be looking at the frogs who desired a king. We're going to break down the story, look at some really fantastic level 3 English vocabulary, and ultimately pull out a golden sentence that you can actually use in your own life. But first, I want you to think about this question for a second. Have you ever been so bored with your perfectly good, safe life that you asked for something completely new, only to deeply, deeply regret it later? Keep that feeling in mind, because honestly, this is exactly the trap our main characters fall into today. A community of frogs, dwelling contentedly in a quiet pond, grew restless and decided that what they lacked was a king to rule over them. So they petitioned Zeus to grant them a monarch. Great job! Now, let's look at the specific words that make this opening so powerful. Let's map out our level 3 vocabulary here. Look at the massive shift in mood. We start with dwell contentedly, meaning to live completely satisfied. But then they grow restless. They become uneasy and just kind of bored. They decide they lack something, meaning they feel they're missing something. And what exactly do they want? A monarch to rule over them. They want a king to govern them. The stark contrast between being completely contented and suddenly becoming restless is literally the engine that starts this whole story. And out of that restless feeling comes this fantastic verb, petition. To petition means to make or present a formal request to an authority with respect to a particular cause. The frogs didn't just ask nicely, They formally complained to the highest authority they could possibly think of, the mighty god Zeus. They petitioned him. Part 2, King Log arrives. Let's see how this builds, because Zeus's response to a bunch of bored frogs is, well, it's quite surprising. Amused by their request, Zeus tossed a great log into the pond. At first, the frogs were terrified by the mighty splash and dived for cover. But when they saw that the log merely floated there and did nothing at all, they soon lost all respect for it and even hopped about upon its back. Look at these new action verbs. Zeus is amused by them. He basically finds them funny. So he tosses a log. He just casually throws it. Then we get this highly descriptive phrase, a mighty splash. It really brings the text to life, right? The frogs dive for cover, rushing to hide. But notice the transition. They go from total terror to losing all respect for the log, casually hopping about on top of their so-called king. It's a huge shift in their behavior. Part 3, the deadly king stork. The tone here gets much darker and a lot more suspenseful. Read with me and feel the danger escalating. Dissatisfied, they begged Zeus once more for a king, this time one who would truly govern them. Now thoroughly annoyed, Zeus sent them a stork, who strode proudly among them and promptly began to devour them one by one. Oh man, what a dramatic shift. Let's break down these intense vocabulary words. The frogs are dissatisfied. They are still unhappy. And look at Zeus's reaction. Before he was amused. Now he is thoroughly annoyed. That is such a brilliant level 3 phrase you can use when you want to express deep frustration. I am thoroughly annoyed. So he sends a stork, a large bird who strides proudly, walking with arrogant long steps. And it acts promptly, meaning immediately, without any delay. And what does the stork promptly do? It begins to devour them. To devour means to eat up greedily or ravenously. The stork isn't just eating, it's destroying them with terrifying speed and hunger. This absolutely makes their new king an absolute nightmare. Part 4, interactive role-play time. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is we actually get to practice. We've read the story, we've learned the words, so let's do a quick interactive role-play. I want you to step directly into the story with me. Here is your very first scenario. Imagine you are one of these bored, restless frogs in the pond. How do you formally ask Zeus for a king, making sure to use the specific vocabulary words we just studied? Think about it for a second. How did you do? If you said something like, "Oh, great Zeus, we petition you to grant us a monarch," then you absolutely nailed it. You correctly used those advanced level 3 words to make a formal royal request. Excellent work. Okay, round 2. The giant log just made a mighty splash in your pond. At first, you're completely terrified, but then you realize it's completely harmless. Describe your changing actions using our verbs. Yes. At first, I dived for cover, but now I will hop about upon its back. Can you vividly picture the action there? The contrast between hiding in total fear and casually jumping around is exactly what makes the storytelling here so dynamic. Final role play. Let's switch perspectives entirely. You're no longer a frog. You are the villain. You are the terrifying king stork, and you've just arrived at the pond. How do you describe your proud, menacing actions? I will stride proudly and promptly devour you all. If you used stride, proudly, promptly, and devour, you have firmly locked in those highly dynamic level 3 verbs. Great job being the villain for a moment. Part 5, vocabulary and the golden sentence. So the frogs got exactly what they asked for, and it was a total disaster. That leads us right into the story's conclusion. Too late, the frogs learned to their sorrow that their peaceful former life had been far preferable. To their sorrow basically means with great sadness. Preferable means more desirable. They finally realized their massive mistake, but unfortunately, they can't take it back. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate cost of their greed. Just look at the two realities. In their former life, they were dwelling contentedly in a safe, quiet pond. But in their new reality, they are terrified and actively being devoured by a stork. It's a stark reminder of what they threw away just because they were a little bit bored. Which brings us to the core lesson of the fable, our golden sentence. Let's read it with some emphasis. Do not be so quick to abandon a good situation for an uncertain one. This beautifully reminds us not to carelessly throw away our present good circumstances just to blindly chase an unknown future. It's some truly profound real-world wisdom. So, my fellow study buddy, I want to leave you with this final thought. Look at your own life right now. What good situation do you currently have that you should be very careful not to abandon today? Appreciate your quiet pond Keep practicing your level 3 vocabulary, and I'll see you for our next shared reading session.